In the beginning was the King, and the King was with a king, and the king was a king. He was with a king in the beginning. Chess is a story of two kings who are eternal. They cannot be harmed and are never captured. While every other piece may leave the board, the king's never will. Since he cannot be hurt, he has no fear. He will capture any enemy piece who dares to threaten him, but he never runs. He deliberately moves only one square at a time in any direction he chooses. However, he is wise. He will not move into harm's way and will get out of any trouble immediately. When the trouble gets too great, he will lay down his kingdom to ensure peace.
Or what king, going to make war against another king, sitteth not down first, and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000? Luke 14:31.
The king can be triumphant when he receives the surrender, or he can be humbled when he lays down his kingdom. Since the kings show proper respect to the other, he will give way when they meet. But sometimes the kings just agree to a mutual peace. Which king will you be? You will have to play to find out.
Or else, while the other is yet a great way off, he sendeth an ambassage, and desireth conditions of peace. Luke 14:32.
To play chess, the kings need a battlefield. The battlefield is played on an 8x8 checkerboard and is set between the two players. Setting up the board is fairly simple. However, there are a couple mistakes people can make. First of all, if there are no labels on the board, it can be set in an incorrect fashion. The way to make sure you have it set correctly is to remember the rule of thumb, white on right. This means that a white square should be by your right hand for both players. Another mistake you can make is when there are labels, is to set the board backwards. And while this doesn't affect the game as much, it does make it more difficult to score. The main rule here is that, of course, white is going to be sitting behind the first rank, while black sits behind the 8th rank. So you want to set the board up correctly so that you can keep score. Keeping score is just a way of recording each player's moves so that you can go over the game later. And this is one of the most important ways of improving in chess, is by having a record of your games and going over them. To record the games, a simple notation that can be used. The most popular is called algebraic notation, and it is basically created by taking the first letter of the piece to be moved, in this case a K from the king, and combine that with the labels from the rank and file of the square to be moved to. In this case, E2. So K E2 tells you that the king is moving to E2. So what have we learned from the king? One, we learned that the king is eternal, which means that he is not captured. But two, it's convenient because the kings always start on the E file. We also learned that the king moves one square in any direction. Of course, the square has to be vacant and safe from attack. The king can move on to an occupied square as long as it is occupied by his opponent, and we refer to that as a capture. And when two kings meet, this is referred to as opposition, and the first king will always give way. Hope this helps you understand the king better.